Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Now, listen, y'all, really. This delineation combined with deportation is making some changes in America. It's like a truth serum for some people. And by the way, for those Latinos who think that Black Americans going to come out there and put their bodies on the line and protest with them, I think what they can safely say is that they've got about what they're going to get. They have shown themselves, and the Maya Angelou saying is, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Now, these people have been showing us who they are for a long time, and we didn't believe them. But now we really see it. But today, I want y'all to hear this. An immigrant, and this woman is from the Caribbean, is actually telling the truth about Black Americans. Again, I think this delineation and this deportation is like a truth serum. People are starting to tell the truth because they see, for one thing, they see number one, Black Americans are not playing about this delineation. And number two, Donald Trump is not playing about this mass deportation. So you're going to have to pick a side. You're going to have to pick a side. As one of the content creators says, the streets are hot. And now that they know that we aren't going anywhere, and that was that has been the biggest shock and disappointment of these immigrants, that Black Americans are not immigrants, and we are not going to be the first ones deported, and we are not the criminals. One of the Cubans said, well, he said he was going to deport the criminals. Hell, he is deporting the criminals. He is supporting criminals. And Donald Trump said that Miami was ground zero for mass deportation. And I'm just going to say this because I don't know it for sure, but I believe that these white people want those Cubans out of Miami because they think they run Miami. And I think that they want that city back. Americans want that city back. And I think that Cubans are going to be in for a much bigger surprise than they are now because I think people are tired of them. If they want to go back to Cuba, they need to go back to Cuba and take over Cuba instead of trying to take over America. They need to go back to Mexico and take over Mexico instead of trying to take over America. So I think that's the message that's being sent, and I think it's the right message. Okay? But anyway, back to the subject. This woman is saying everything that Black Americans have been saying. Now, that means that people are listening to what we're saying, but it's just that some people want to ignore it or dismiss it. But this lady really speaks the truth. And y'all, I think y'all would get a kick out of hearing this. So here she is.
All right, immigrants, let's come to the front because I want us to have a conversation. A couple of weeks ago, Kai Cenat made a comment about how supposedly African Americans don't have any culture, and I think it's time we talk. I'm an immigrant myself. I was born in the Caribbean and raised in Europe, and I've been here in the United States, living in the United States since I was about 13 years old. But when I was a little girl, I would come and spend either part of the summer or the entire summer here with different family. And I began noticing like little comments here and there early on, but I think when I was 12 years old, is when I finally began realizing that there's something really messed up on how a lot of immigrants talk about African Americans. So my dad was very, very successful for a very specific chunk of time. And he lost it all eventually, like by the time I was like 16. But when I was growing up, he was definitely amassing more and more success and money. And so we moved, and by we I mean him, his wife, my step and half siblings, and then myself when I would come visit. We were living in a decent house that was a bit small in a neighborhood that wasn't, I wouldn't say it was the hood, but it was definitely a bit run down, lots of potholes, unkempt front yards type of deal, just, you know, smaller houses, etc., etc. And when I turned 12, when I was 12, we moved to a nicer neighborhood. This neighborhood had much bigger houses. It had very nice, like very nicely kept lawns. The streets were very beautifully kept. Everything was super, super nice in this new neighborhood. And it was clear that we were like moving on up, right? And so my father hired day laborers, migrants, to come and help us with the move. And I remember sitting in the back of the pickup truck, and I remember listening to the men talk, the migrants. These were men from South and Central America and the Caribbean. And they were talking about the people in the neighborhood, and they were talking down on the people in the neighborhood. And I was very confused for a number of reasons. So the people in the neighborhood were all African American. As far as the eye could see, all the way down, it was all African Americans. And it was clear that this was like a generational neighborhood. Like, it was clear that there had been families that had been here for years and years. And obviously this was not my first time in that neighborhood. Like, when they bought the house, we would come and check out the house and like go around the neighborhood and stuff, right? So it was clear that families had been living here, and it was clear that they had built this neighborhood to be what it was. They were the ones that keeping it as nice as it was. And again, nicer houses, bigger houses, etc., etc. And so I was very confused from the sense that we had just gotten there. Like, literally, we weren't able to afford it before this, and we had just gotten there, and like, there was no room for us to talk down on the people that clearly built this. And then on the other hand, the day laborers, the migrants, mind you, this is no classism shit, because I myself was very poor for most of my childhood. My dad had money, and I only experienced money when I would come and visit him. Other than that, I was broke. My mom was broke. We were broke. And so this is no classism shit, but the day laborers, I was also very confused with them, because it was very much like, can you even afford to live here? They built this, and they've been here. You can't even afford to live here, and yet you're talking down on them. And this feeling of like, we just got here, and y'all are talking down on them when they built this to begin with, has been a pervasive, persistent, ongoing feeling for the entirety of my time here in the States. I've been here for basically 20 years now. I'm in my mid-30s. And I have been so annoyed by seeing this over and over and over again for a number of reasons. First of all, because you wouldn't be able to be here in this country, period, if it wasn't for African Americans. Not only because they built this country on free labor, literally built this country on free labor, but also because through the 1910s and the 1920s, the United States was passing act after act after act that was forbidding us, migrants of color, to come into the country. The acts that they were passing was forbidding Mexicans, was forbidding Chinese folk, it was forbidding any migrant of color to come into this country. And it wasn't until the civil rights movement, until African Americans literally put their bodies on the line. They got mauled by dogs. They got shot by water cannons. They got spit at the counter of restaurants. They got killed in order to attain some sort of equality, some sort of freedom within this country. And thanks to them, within a year of them winning the Civil Rights Act, the quotas for migrants of color were abolished. If it wasn't for African Americans literally putting their bodies on the line, you, migrant of color, would not be able to step foot into this country. And so I need you to understand that you should be extremely grateful, not only for the fact that they built this country, but for the fact that they won the freedoms that allow us to be able to be in this country and create a better life for ourselves. But that's not all. The other part that really frustrates me about this is that African Americans have been the cultural pallbearers for the entire globe for decades. And I'm talking about anywhere that you go in this world, you will encounter African American culture. Music, clothing, hair, anything, everything. Anything and everything that they come up with, you will find it in Spain, you will find it all across Europe, you will find it all across Asia. And what I find to be extremely frustrating, in line with the comment that Kai Cenat made, is that y'all will take their culture, enjoy their culture, turn around, and then not give credit where credit is due, and then look down and talk down on African Americans. And to me, that makes absolutely no sense. And I need you to understand that all the stereotypes that y'all like to heave upon African Americans, all the things that y'all claim y'all claim that they are ghetto and hood, which I have another rant about that and how y'all talk about ghetto and hood and all that stuff, but a different video. Y'all say that they're ghetto and they're hood and they're uneducated, whatever the hell the things that y'all claim they are. I would rather be all of those things than to be a liar, to be a thief, and to be a hypocrite. Because if you're taking their culture, lying about where it's coming from, and then continuing to enjoy it, you are a thief, you're a liar, and a hypocrite. And frankly, I'd rather be everything that you say African Americans are than to be those three things. And so if you're one of those people, whether you're here in the United States or you're a K-popper in Korea, I don't care. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. If you dare use anything that African Americans have created and then turn around and look down on them, whether that be culturally or even being able to be in this country, I need you to do better. I need you to do better. I need you to do better. I'm over this. I'm so tired of this. Like, do better.
Mama.